So Donald Trump apparently saw that his approval rating is lower than other presidents on the week of their inauguration. So he's mad about this, of course, and he took to Twitter and he said the following. The same people who did the phony election polls and were so wrong are now doing approval rating polls. They are rigged, just like before. Well, my response to that, Mr. President-elect, is wrong. Wrong. You're wrong. It's lies. Wrong. Wrong. Yeah, that's not true. So, polls were roughly as accurate as they've been since 1968, the polls in the general election. Trump beat his average national poll by 1.8 points, and he beat his swing state poll numbers by 2.7 points. So the standard margin of error in even the best polls is about 3, plus or minus 3, or even 4. So that's well within the margin of error. And then furthermore, Hillary Clinton won the popular vote by like 2.8 million votes. Which means what? She won by almost a percentage point, which she was up in the polls about, on average, about 3. So that's really not far off from what the polls were, which is why I always found it interesting. And you could go back to directly after the election. Every time I spoke to people about the election, I would say, and it's, this is, I think I did an appearance on Drunken Peasants and I brought this up, and other places where, people would ask, like, well, how, this is crazy, like, he ended up winning, but why were the polls so wrong? And my response was always, they're not that wrong. It's well within the margin of error. And in fact, if you go back to 2012, it might be the case that Barack Obama overshot his polling numbers versus Mitt Romney more than Donald Trump overshot his polling numbers against Hillary Clinton. So well within the margin of error. Again, he beat his national poll average by 1.8 points, well within the margin of error, and in swing states by 2.7 points. Again, still within the margin of error. So I don't know why, he and everybody else say, oh yeah, they were wrong. I mean, I guess it's the case that there were pollsters whose predictions simply did not coincide with what their numbers showed. You know what I mean? So they were like Huffington Post pollster, for example, was like 98% or 99% chance Hillary Clinton's going to be the next president. So maybe Trump's referring to that, and if he's referring to that, then yeah, I mean, it's fair to say they were wrong, but they weren't rigged. That's a different claim, and that's totally wrong. It implies, purposefully misleading and changing the numbers to skew them against him, and that's just simply not happening. So, but here's why this is important, because what this says to me is he'll do anything he wants when in office, and then he'll just dismiss the polls, even if they're massively against him, as rigged. So it's a way for a very narcissistic guy and a very close-minded guy to just rationalize anything and everything he does. And even if you look at the poll numbers and the thing that he's in favor of doing and he's pushing for has like 8% popularity, they're like, right, rigged, wrong, this isn't right, they're lying, they're all just biased against Trump, that's what it is, I know that's what it is, it's tremendous. I have the best pollsters, believe me, my internal pollsters tell me that we're doing the most tremendous plan, and it's sad, we're winning with my plan. We're winning with my plan, I know it, you know it, everybody knows it. Tremendous. So it's not good. It's not good that you have, it's so weird to see a guy who's the president-elect who's kind of like openly buffoonish sometimes. Like with Obama, again, don't get me wrong, I think he's a massive mixed bag, and I could go through a laundry list of all the negative things he's done and things I massively disagree with. And war crimes, so I'm not giving him a pass. But there is something, it is true, when people say, Donald Trump is not presidential, that doesn't mean much, but it's certainly true. That's not something a president... rigged polls, same people did the phony election polls, phony. It reminds me of the guy in Family Guy. I think it's Family Guy, right? Who, he pops up every now and then, he's like, phony, you're a phony. Or like Holden Caulfield in Catcher in the Rye, phony, right? Doesn't he say phony too? Like he's just a man-child. He's a lost man-child. And he has to rationalize everything he does and make himself feel good about himself So he's rigged. Anytime anybody's against me with anything, it's rigged. Anytime somebody disagrees with me, it is nefarious. Wrong. So it's a weird thing to watch, and this guy's going to be president on Friday. Yay!